Hello folks, and welcome back. So things haven't been going too well recently with the pond. Stick around with me and I'll tell you the whole story about what's happened. So I first noticed issues in my pond towards the end of March, where a number of the fish were acting slightly off. So this included sitting on the bottom, veiny skin, and lots of flicking and flashing. And my poor yellow monkey seemed to be suffering the worst, so I set up my hospital tank. This is a great bit of kit, and over the years it's helped me save a few really sick fish. So it's a 500 litre tub, and inside I got a submerged 4,500 litre pump, which goes up to Noir's Bioforce 2200, and inside I've got a 300 watt aquarium heater. So I added the yellow monkey, and you can see here the fish is kind of losing its balance, which is a sign of a stressed fish that's not well. Good thing about a hospital tank is it allows you to accurately control the environment to aid the fish's recovery. And two key things I like to use are heat and salt. So for temperature I set the aquarium heater at 22 degrees to improve the fish's immune system. Salt helps reduce the osmotic demands on the fish and therefore reduces its stress levels. And I use these really good tables produced by Sid Mitchell, aka the Mankey Sankey, to help work out the amount of salt needed. I then mixed that up and added it to the hospital tank, and to test it I've got this salt meter pen off Amazon, which is pretty good actually, it's quite accurate. And I started with a 0.3% concentration and I gradually increased it over a couple of days to 0.6%. Back on the main pond I netted and scraped a couple fish to test the mucus sample under my microscope, and I couldn't believe it, I found Costia and Flukes. This explains why my fish have been so poorly. Of those two, Costia is probably the worst. It's a pretty aggressive fish parasite that can cause a lot of damage and even kill your fish. So I decided to treat for that first. And my go-to treatment for that is Colombo Alprex. This is a particularly strong treatment to use in your pond, and you should read the instructions carefully as it has to be given over 2 days, and it turns your water into this lovely neon green colour. I stopped feeding the fish altogether, and I increased aeration in the pond to help boost the oxygen content in the water. Like with any treatment for a pond, you want to pay close attention to your fish and see how they respond to it, just in case you need to do anything to help them out. Meanwhile, spring had definitely arrived and the garden was looking really good. My acers had really started to shoot new leaves, and also my gunnera, or giant rhubarb, had started to sprout up too. After a couple weeks in the hospital tank, the yellow monkey was doing fantastic. The fish was back to being really alert, behaving normally, was really friendly, and as you'd expect a karashigoi to be, super hungry all the time. Back on the main pond, the fish were also doing much better, and were also absolutely crazy for food. That horrible neon green water had finally disappeared, and the fish were visibly much better, behaving more like their usual selves. The yellow monkey was doing fantastic by now, and over the course of a week I slowly reduced the salt content in the hospital tank to match my main pond, and then I put him back, fit and well, with the other fish. In total he was in the tank for 3 weeks, and I swear it's grown a couple centimetres, which wouldn't be surprising with the amount of food it's been eating. I also wanted to scrape a couple more fish in the pond for an update on the parasites, so I got my kit out, which is the microscope, a plastic card I use for doing the scrape, a glass slide, a couple of slips, some tweezers and a pipette. The first fish I got out to do a scrape on was my Dainichi Kahaku. This thing looks absolutely massive now. It's got a huge, powerful body, really strong shoulders and backbone, broad head. The Benny I'm hoping is going to get even better this year. Next fish out was my Marido Shoa. This is one of the older fish in the pond. It's one of my favourites. It's got such an interesting Benny pattern on the head here. I'm still hoping that Sumi you can see there is going to come up one day. Definitely a long game having a Shoa. So, on the scrapes, Thankfully, I couldn't find any Costia, so the Alprex did its job well. But as expected, there was still a few flukes. Flukes can be a real pain in the koi pond, and there's lots of different advice out there on how to treat them. My go-to is Learnix Pro. Again, read the instructions carefully, particularly if you're using it after or around Alprex. Fluke treatments can be pretty difficult to mix up at times, but the best way I've found is to fill a bucket with pond water, drop a submerged pump in it and turn on, and then slowly add in the amount of fluke treatment you need. The pump does a great job of mixing it all up if you let it run for 5 or 10 minutes. I like to use the skimmer line on my pond to help mix the treatment and then distribute it around the pond. When I do a fluke treatment, I like to make sure there's extra aeration going into the pond, and I also turn off the pumps to my main filters for between 4 and 6 hours, just so the fish get a good amount of time to sit in the fluke treatment. I think this helps make sure any flukes that are actually on the fish or in the water floating around get the full dose of the treatment, hopefully get rid of them. The fish all responded really well to the fluke treatment. I'm doing great now. As you can see, they've been going absolutely mad for the new koi food I've been giving them, which I'm going to be giving an update on in my next video. Going back to why I had all these problems in the pond, I suspect those parasites were still in the pond from last year, either dormant or at some very, very low level, and I think where I increased the pond temperature from 12 to 18 degrees probably triggered them. The fish all responded really well to the treatments though, and are looking great now, so hopefully I can avoid any further problems this year. My little hospital tank has definitely got me out of trouble a few times now, and I've always kept it as a temporary setup, but I'm beginning to think it might be good to make a more permanent solution. If you've got a hospital or quarantine tank, let me know what you use, because I'm definitely thinking about building one myself later on this year. Stay tuned for my next video. I mentioned earlier I've got a new koi food I'm trying at the moment, and as you can see the fish are going absolutely bonkers for it. And I'm also going to collect another new fish. Big thank you to everyone who's watched my videos and subscribed, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.